I'm Barry Banther, author of A Leader's Gift, How to Earn the Right to be Followed. The gift of openness is the first gift that a leader has to nurture, and it may be the most difficult. It means I've got to be willing to look inside myself and identify and admit to the prejudices I have that might cause me not to choose to be open with one of my employees. They may be the wrong gender, they might be the wrong race, they might have the wrong educational background. They may be from a finance background, I'm from an engineering perspective. As a leader, you can't afford to do that because you've got to create a culture of openness. In fact, an open door policy, you've heard that, without an open mind, actually leads to lost opportunity. In A Leader's Gift, I share stories from NASA to Toyota of tragic consequences when there wasn't a culture of openness. And it's your responsibility as the leader to create that, but it's difficult. Carl Jung, the celebrated psychologist, said, those things that irritate us about other people actually are things that will help us better understand ourselves. So it does require you to be willing to make this leap in your own life to create that kind of openness. Now, what are the results if you don't do that? What if you choose not to be open? Harvard Business Review interviewed 800 managers across 17 industries. And the question they were asking was, when there's a lack of openness, and they were looking specifically at incivility or a lack of respect that often comes from a closed environment, what are the results? They found that 78% of employees were less committed to the organization, less engaged than they might otherwise have been. You can't afford, in today's modern economic time, you cannot afford not to be open. And in The Leader's Gift, we show you how to do that. In fact, there are 3 simple rules that we found that are important, and at aleadersgift.com, we give you much more information about how to do this. Here's the first gift. The first gift is you've got to give first. You've got to be the example. You've got to choose to create openness with every person that you're expecting to follow you and with your colleagues with whom you want to have influence. Emerson, the poet, said, who you are speaks so loudly, I can't hear what you're saying. You want to be heard? Want to be understood? Want to be followed? First, you've got to create an environment for that, and that's when you create openness, and you've got to choose to give first. And then secondly, you've got to give freely. That means that you can't say, I'm going to be open with these 2 associates because I want something in return this week, or I'll be open with that colleague because I need something from them next week. That's manipulation. That's the old motivational tricks that don't work anymore. You've got to be willing to give freely to everyone. You're making this investment, and you have to let the circumstances and the environment produce the result. It'll produce the result if you don't try to manipulate it. In fact, in The Leader's Gift, I share 21 questions, 21 things that I found helped me become more open with the people I lead. 21 questions I wished I had known when I got off that plane in Baltimore. You've got to give first, you've got to give freely, and then you've got to give frequently. If leadership really is not something we do, but someone we become, then you've got to make it a habit. And it becomes a habit when you repeat that, as you know, over and over again. So you've got to give that openness frequently. In A Leader's Gift, I share a story about sitting on a plane ride to California next to a celebrity that I didn't identify, I didn't recognize at the time. But because I was willing to be open first and to be open freely, it had profound results for me. And that can happen in your life as well. You can create the kind of environment where there's an openness to communication, and your team will follow you. In the over 400 leadership engagements that I've been the senior consultant on, not once, not a single time, have I found a team that outperformed their leader, that despite their leader's closed situation, their closed-mindedness to everyone, somehow the team managed to create openness. It doesn't happen. There are examples of you, they're following you. And so go to aleadersgift.com, discover how you can create openness and become the lasting leader you really want to be.